Hey everyone, welcome back to the Weekly Awakening Podcast. This is your host, Cosmic Colleen, back with another weekly astrology update. We are in Virgo season. You know, I'm very excited about that. For those of you who don't know, but I'm sure many of you do, I am a Virgo rising, Virgo moon. So I very much associate myself and get just as excited as other Virgos. So I got the triple, quadruple, major Mercury placement with all that Gemini in that Virgo. So what else do we have going on? At the beginning of this episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about what is Virgo energy, what is it associated with, and some of the misconceptions or deeper meaning behind why they're associated with various things like cleanliness, overanalyzing, etc. But let's see what else we are going to be talking about. So today, Tuesday, August 27th at 3:23 a.m. East Coast time. So that was early this morning. Venus trined Uranus, okay? Then we got Wednesday, the 28th at 4:24 p.m. East Coast time. Venus opposite Neptune retrograde. So get ready for tomorrow. And then 5:13 p.m. East Coast, Mercury Stations direct in Leo. Yay. So we are now moving ahead through this Mercury retrograde. Like I promised you guys, it was not that major. There were definitely some other transits happening during this time, but this Mercury retrograde wasn't as crazy as a lot of other Mercury retrogrades. Then Thursday, the 29th, Venus moves into Libra and it will trine Pluto in Aquarius right before Pluto moves back into Capricorn for the very last time for a very, very long time. Then on this episode, we are going to talk about the new moon in Virgo, which is happening on September 2nd. And then that Wednesday, we have Mars moving into Cancer. So this is a long episode, guys. Bear with me. The beginning, we're going to be talking about Virgo. If you don't want to hear about Virgo energy, definitely start to, move ahead maybe 10 minutes or so to get into the transit. So here we go. So, okay, Virgo season. What I love about the sun in Virgo and its natural association is it is the season of getting ourselves mentally in check. We come off of the summertime, we come off of Leo, and we move into Virgo, and it's time for us to get our mind back in check with our body and soul. Why the mind? Because Virgo's ruling planet is Mercury, right? Mercury is of the mind, the communication, our daily movements. And when we have in the earth sign of Virgo, it is the thinker. It is the analyzer. It is the internal processor. So just like Gemini communicates very outwardly, in Virgo, it is the internalizing. It's the thinking. It's the process, where Gemini is the speaking out. So why is Virgo associated with cleaning, organizing? Okay, Mercury is always moving. The planet Mercury is always moving. It is always mentally moving. And when it is in Virgo, it needs to achieve things. Naturally, Virgos love to achieve. And it's not necessarily like giant achievements. Yes, there's that. But it's also tiny achievements, daily achievements. Remember, because Mercury is the ruler of our motions throughout the day, the simple motions. And again, with Gemini, it's the outward expression of Mercury. And with Virgo, it's the inward expression of Mercury. So Mercury loves to be mentally in control of its environment. That's why you'll find that a lot of Virgo energy is about cleaning or keeping things organized, because that is how it keeps its mind organized. And the mind always wants to be doing something. So something that is easy for the mind to be doing to keep moving is to clean around, to clean up your environment. And we have to get that energy out. Again, the mind has to get that energy out. And a lot of Virgos over their lifetime definitely take up meditation. It might not be until they're 50, but most Virgos I know eventually, they like to overanalyze their own mind. So they figure out, how does my mind work best? And that usually comes after Virgos sort of lose their mind and go on the entire opposite end. And then they get to the whole other side. Now, again, I know some Virgo sons who are not always outwardly organized. They're not always creating their environment or organizing their environment or making sure that everything is perfectly placed. However, it is definitely coming through. For some people, it could be work. Okay. Mercury loves to work and move, but in Virgo, it especially loves to work. It feels a lot of purpose through working and a lot of value through working. But they might be, expressing that Virgo organizing, overanalyzing energy through work. They absolutely are. Some Virgos are expressing that at home environment and at work. And then there's me, a Virgo rising, Virgo moon. I know a lot of Virgo moons are like that. I love to, and Virgo placements in general are like this, but this is how it comes. My house, I've gotten much more clean, much more cleanlier. I've gotten a little bit more organized, but I can definitely function well in disorder. But when it comes to managing my emotions and how, my emotions control my mind and vice versa, I'm extremely kind of organized in that way and over analyzing in that way. I have a mental folder for everybody and their behaviors. And, that's why I guess you could say it's the Virgo, why I can read people so well. But even as my clients, my hair clients, like once you become a client, you have a whole folder in my head. I know pretty much everything about your life and it like stays there. It's very organized within that way. And when it comes, like I said, to controlling my emotions and really figuring that out, I'm actually quite organized. And when it comes to, for instance, my clients or at the salon, like I will be so hyper focused about where every client is, what client does, what time do I need them to be shampooed versus in my, like I have this entire, people are like, how are you even doing this? And I'm like, that's where the Virgo comes out. So again, it does come out. Not all Virgos are over clean or they're definitely over analyzing something in their life. That is true. All Virgos do that. That's the best thing because they know how to mentally orchestrate things. That's why most Virgos tend to be therapists. They tend to be psychiatrists, things of the mind, as well as hairstylists. Actually, this is funny. Years ago during 2020, these two, I can't remember the podcast, but these two hairstylists out of Long Island had a podcast that was it was definitely pretty popular. And they had a Facebook group with like 5,000 hairstylists, and they did like, what is your sun sign? And they took a whole tab of what everyone's sun sign is. And then they asked me to talk about it. And astronomically, the top two signs of hairstylists were Virgos and Geminis. I mean, through the roof by like a large margin, by at least like 3,000, like something really huge. And then it was Leos under that, Libra's under that. And then I don't remember after that, but I do remember Aquarius being kind of up there. And that actually that one surprised me, believe it or not, but not a lot of water signs, probably because they could not handle the shit they got to handle to be a hairstylist. But I thought that was really interesting. And us hairstylists are therapists, right? We're therapists. And we also are the ones who can communicate as well as listen. And we could do that all day, on and on and on and on and on and on and on, which is a very Mercury trait. Not too many people who are Mercury can do that, as well as, now I'm talking about the hairstyles, but as well as like doing the hair, keeping track, listening to people, being people's therapist, as well as, being theirs and vice versa. So sidetrack. I digress. I just thought you guys might find that interesting. And I know I have a lot of hairstylists who actually listen to this. But again, it's going to come through with mental organization. And, also they like to seek mental awareness in kind of a deep way. A lot of people I know, they'll take up all of a sudden like really intense running or really intense meditation or really intense spiritual practices. And they also love to have the mental awareness so they can control their feelings or responses. And oftentimes I'm told when I go through something hard, my clients would be like, I actually had no idea that you were even going through that. And I don't actually really like to tell people the details until once it's either happened or I mentally constructed everything, figured out why everything happened, accepted it, let it go, and then I can voice it. So that's why Virgos are often met with like being guarded. A lot of people say, oh, they don't really actually tell me the depths of how they're feeling. They will talk. But when it comes to like the deep, intimate things, they don't always respond with that. Virgos, like I said, they love to work. Like I talked, this is the most truest statement. Find me a Virgo who does not love to work. I'm seriously, find me another one. And I bet you they have a Pisces stellium. If you have a Virgo who doesn't like to work, they have every other planet in Pisces. Because really, I've never come across one. Even if they don't love it, they love satisfying someone with a job well done. They love feeling the purpose of helping someone out. They're usually the first ones who are there to help you whenever you need help, or you call them, even if it's just mental help or just showing up. They are committed to showing up, sacrifice, and helping people. And again, it's part of their own mental satisfaction. You know, it's second nature to get that mental satisfaction through work for Virgos. Virgos are very Mercury ruled people, and they have a lot of mental energy, and they choose to express it that way. That's also why you will find a lot of Virgos and Geminis usually have a past issue with substance abuse in some way, because again, their mind is always going. And they tend to have a lot of pure energy. So again, with that undertone, they can sometimes get lost, but then they like come in really strong, get themselves together, and like have this journey of high achieving mental and physical well-being journey. Now, the mutable part is sometimes that happens multiple times, all the time. I feel like I'm always having like a new lifelong journey breakthrough and achieving a brand new physical and mental well-being every year, every month, every 2 years. And again, a lot of Virgo placements have that. So with Virgo season, now let's jump back into Virgo season, and then I will continue on with the transits. Virgo season, we gain mental self-awareness and take action with that mental self-awareness. So during this time, especially when Mercury retrogrades back into Virgo, this is going to be a very mentally aware time, but it's going to be mentally aware, and we're going to talk about this with the new moon, around organizing our life, simplifying our life. Virgos are also associated with being minimalist. Again, they want to their mind is so much that they don't need all kinds of other chaos within them. So that's why they're also simplistic beings, and they see through bullshit. So they're like, we actually don't need a lot to thrive and survive. So get ready to get mentally aware with this. Now, especially, what's happening, this mental shift and awareness are really going to be happening with my mutable placements over these next 3 weeks, especially with Mercury retrograde moving direct, and then it moves back into Virgo. And we will have a clear vision of a past cloudy self-awareness journey, something where one side of the mind is like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But then the other side's like, I'm doing it. Well, now it won't feel so hazy or hard hard to manage. You'll be able to move on. So let's talk about what we have been feeling. Like we said, Virgo, I want to talk about this. I kind of missed it a little bit on what happened. What day did I say this happened? Venus and Virgo squared Mars and Gemini. Did that happen? And let me look at my calendar. I wrote the notes starting last week, and then I just finished them yesterday. Yes. So today, what was that happening? Oh, I'm sorry. We'll just skip that because that was on Saturday, and this is already a long episode. I don't know why I wrote this transit for this week and I forgot I was doing a TikTok video and wrote, this was last week's transit. So again, I digress. Soon Mercury will be out of retrograde, and I'll be back to smooth sailing for this episode. So let's talk about what happened today. Tuesday, the 27th, Venus trine Uranus. So we had Venus and Virgo trine Uranus and Taurus, Earth signs, mutable placements happening. This is happening right before Mercury is getting ready to station direct. So we have Venus in Mercury sign right now of Virgo, and it's leaving there. And remember, we talked about another episode. This isn't the happiest place for Venus because it can't just live and let live and enjoy love and joy in the things we like. It always has to overanalyze everything. So a grounding shift in a relationship. This is going to be for my earth signs the most, and my mutable placements right there. So my Capricorn, my Taurus, my Virgo, and then, the Sag, Pisces, Gemini, also Virgo. This is going to be the loudest and biggest for you. A grounding shift in a relationship, finally a communication breakthrough, or coming to a solid agreement, seeing eye to eye. Ready to take things to the next level, or a commitment with someone, or you meet someone and the attraction happens quick and deep. a shift in your perspective when it comes to your material attachments to the material world. I don't need this anymore. Something along those self-awareness lines. What kind of false joy am I chasing? We just came out of that. We also have Mercury in Leo right now, looking at our sort of material realm joys. And when this is happening, and then it's going to continue over the next week with the rest of the transits, what don't you need anymore? What material world attachment is honestly maybe a waste of mental space now? It's not needed. It's not actually who you are or what you identify with. You realize maybe it's bad for the environment, or it's just a added unnecessary thing in your budget. What kind of false joy am I chasing from this car, from this gift, from these clothes, these shoes, something like anything in our material realm, anything that's out of our soul? Cleansing your creative energy. This is going to be another theme in nature, having creative breakthroughs because of it. I would spend today, next week, this week, really cleansing your creative energy in nature. If you can, go outside. You guys know I was in the Finger Lakes last week, and it was a cold. It was like 60, but I actually kind of loved it. I vibed with it. And on the lake, you go down to the lake, and there wasn't a ton of people there because it was cold. So I was sitting on the dock, and I was surrounded by the woods, and all I could hear was the waves drowning everything out. And for so long, I would do it every day. I would have nothing, no other sound but Mother Nature. And it was amazing. And it kind of brought me back. I forgot, I grew up in the country, and I had a very large plot of land on a very large wooded area where I spent most of my days, at least 2 hours of my day, in total silence but nature. And I forgot how good that is for my soul. And even doing that daily up there, plus just, you're just kind of free flowing around nature and life up there, I did have some creative breakthroughs. So how can you go into nature? Maybe it's just a little small hike, or, to a local creek or something like that, because there will be some creative breakthroughs because of this. Here's another theme: being able to finally break away from something that is toxic or just should have ended long ago. Having a new and surprisingly open mental perspective, open-minded to something that you weren't prior. And that is actually going to continue, and we'll talk about it on next week's new moon in Virgo. So Mercury retrograde stationing direct on the 28th. Leos are having mental closure to a year-long process of bringing deep awareness to a certain section of your life. Sorry, I need to take a sip. We're having this, well, you guys are, not me, I'm not a Leo, but deep awareness. Go back to my Leo episode. If you're a Leo, for sure, have a Leo placement, definitely go back to my Leo episode so you can understand a little bit deeper. I talk more there about the awareness that began, or the issues that began a year ago, and what the journey has been. So with Mercury Station direct on the 28th, my Leos, it's a closure. It's a mental awareness closure. You are now understanding why something happened in your life. You're starting to see how, that's why it happened. Everything happens for the right reasons. You're going to have that kind of deep awareness. Now, my other mutable signs are gaining control of a lost aspect in their life. You now have the mental strength and clarity to do so. So that's my Geminis, Virgos, Pisces, Sagittarius. There can still be a little ironing out of the goosebumps on Mercury's way out, because then it moves into its post shadow period. But for the most part, because this was, like I said, already an easy Mercury retrograde, it is not going to be too difficult, those little hiccups. And the mental gaining the mental control of their life, it's something that you really need, and will make your life so much better. So much better. I don't know if you guys can hear this right now. I've made my kids swear that they would be fine upstairs if they wanted to earn something, and I can hear them wrestling. I'm going to try to ignore them, so I'm sorry if they come running down, but hopefully they know better than that. Now, Venus moves into Libra. Venus is back into her home domicile in Libra, so that is one good thing. It is very happy in its home in Taurus or Libra, so it is back in Libra. And when Venus first moves into Virgo, it will trine Pluto retrograding back into Capricorn for a little bit, but it will still be in that Aquarius. And with this trine, there will have been gained insight with feeling one with, finally that mental insight to like your deep self-love, or what is holding back that deep self-love, what is holding back that fire. I'm going to talk a little bit about this, but I'll talk way more about this when we get to the solar eclipse. But we have a solar eclipse in Libra on October 2nd, and Venus will be there. I'm actually really excited about this because it's been, since we've been in this Aries Libra eclipse axis, there hasn't been a good Libra eclipse. They've been much harder eclipses happening. So now we're coming full circle. And this Venus being there, I don't know, I just really love it for a lot of happiness rebirth and good time rebirth for a lot of people, especially my cardinal signs. Libras, my Libra placements. This is not just for my Libra sons, but all my Libra placements. Even some of you might have Libra like a couple big planets in Libra, but you might not be a Libra rising moon or sun. But if you got 4 of the other planets in Libra, definitely listen up again. And again, we'll update you much closer as we get closer and we start entering that eclipse portal. But for my indecisive Libra placements, you finally know what to choose to make, what to choose on, what kind of TV, what kind of video game, what kind of couch. I just picked like 3 generic material things, or what to do to make happy, because Libras are so tiny detailed to everything that they go back and forth. That's why so much they're associated with not knowing or not understanding, and they can't choose. They're kind of picky, but they are like too detailed into that pickiness. So they kind of will spend, I know someone with a very large Libra placement, and he has at least taken a year to buy anything, a TV, a new car. And what's funny is he usually ends up with the same car he always had, but just a new version of it. But he'll spend all year trying to figure out which one, but then he always ends up with the same car, that he's kept for 10 years, but it's just a new version of that. So now like I said, we moved away from the overanalyzing now that Venus is moving out of Virgo, and you guys are also, you take forever with that, but now we love, joy, relationships. They will feel safe again. They'll feel exciting again. They'll feel airier and freer. There will be a lightness to you again, especially my Venus ruled people. There will be a nice lightness, and went from overanalyzing to just enjoying the good things in life again, kicking back. And if we are overanalyzing, it's going to be a little bit of, a TV, a sofa, or whatever. That little thing I said where you guys won't be indecisive, that's only for this transit with Pluto. After that, you'll be back to your indecisiveness, but there'll be so much joy around you, so it'll be lots of exciting joy that you will be indecisive about. And again, not so deep thinking onto every little thing. Should I be happy? Why does that make me happy? I don't know how I feel about this person. Maybe that's intense. Maybe they should call me back. Maybe I shouldn't go out there and eat that food. Maybe I should do that. Maybe this is happening. Why am I seeking the depthness of this? Whatever. All that shit's going to be out. You're just going to enjoy. So letting go of those depths of despairs through detachment, letting go of those things that were a mental drag and a mental attachment. Again, just enjoying joy as it shows up in its pure form of enjoyment. Accepting the joy as it is, as it unfolds in front of you as well, not trying to think backwards or think too far ahead instead of overanalyzing it like we did in Virgo. Okay, I'm ready for this. I know you guys are, and I know my Venus ruled people definitely are. Again, when this transit happens with Pluto, we will feel very confident in your decision just for a week, but then you will go back. Now, we got the new moon in Virgo next Monday, 9:55 p.m. East Coast time. I gotta say something. I kind of am loving this new moon. Not a lot of other shit is happening with this new moon or in conjunction with this new moon, which doesn't always happen. It's a very simple new moon, which I think is very perfect for Mercury. Mercury, like we said in Virgo, actually loves the simplistic outward because the mind always isn't. Now, Mercury will also now be direct during this time and getting ready to move back into Virgo. So we got Mercury direct, its home sign. We got a very simple new moon. So this is going to be pure enjoyment, pure simplicity. Virgos, again, they're minimalist. It doesn't mean they don't like nice things, but they don't need a lot of it. Some have no attachment to things. I know some who would live in the woods and do live in the woods and have nothing. And I know some who may be like a few attachment things, but they're actually still kind of simple. They want daily life to be simple and easy. So with this new moon, we are going to make sure our mind is back to working normal and not working on overdrive like it has been. So simplifying our mind by getting rid of the mental clutter that is always going and going and going. The number one way is by realizing that nothing matters. That's take a picture out of Gemini's book. You know, if you want listen to the Gemini episode, then with the new moon in Gemini, it was about also just not giving a fuck. Nothing really matters. So nothing fucking matters because it really doesn't. It's really very minimal and tiny little things that matter. They share the same energy of Mercury, again, except Virgo does need to overanalyze or analyze a few things for themselves first. Then they can say, I don't give a fuck. And if they already experienced it, it's easy for them to say, I don't give a fuck. Geminis will just not give a fuck and then think about it later. That's focus on our mental clutter. What does mental clutter look like to you? Now, here's a little exercise that you can do with this new moon. You could even do it today. You can go do it next week. I suggest you do it all next week and definitely on the new moon. Get in a relaxed state or a meditative state, just a really calm, cool, and collected energy. Sit with yourself. Again, it really does not take too long. 2 minutes. You just have to calm your body. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath, a few deep breaths. What comes to your mind? What rising thoughts come up first? What are those shooting thoughts racing around your mind as soon as you close your eyes, as soon as the noise stops? What are those racing thoughts? That, my friends, is mental clutter. That shit, that doesn't really matter in the end. It's either some sort of fear projection our mind has made up because it wants to protect us. Our body really doesn't want to feel certain physical things, so it sends messages up to our brain that says, hey, this is a fear. That's so we don't get surprised with our emotions. That's just project this fear out of there. That is what the mental clutter is. The fear, the bullshit, the stuff that comes right to that front that all of a sudden traces and creates that worry. None of that matters. 98% of it will not even happen. And the other percent won't even happen the way that we projected it in our head, usually not even close to as bad. So right there, get in touch though, get familiar, bring awareness to your mental clutter. That's what you got to do in order to remove it. Now, this is something that we will have to do for the rest of our lives, unless we are reincarnated here as a Buddha monk somewhere up in the Himalayas where all we do is silence all day long, but we didn't. So we're going to have to be doing this shit all day long. Our mind is so powerful and we are going to have to declutter it. We just become consciously more aware during Virgo season, or the energy is there for us to want to do it. So here's an exercise, like I said, that I want you guys to do. There's all kinds of mental exercises you can do during this new moon, but I really like this one. So we're in the meditative state. Close your eyes. As that clutter starts coming to your head, repeat these words. I remove this clutter. I remove this clutter. I remove this clutter. And you can even take your hand like you're picking something off your face, like a big flower off your face, all 4 fingertips, and pull it out every time you say, I remove this clutter. I remove this clutter. I remove this clutter. Do this every day for the next week. Do it for a long time, actually, or anytime you feel mental clutter. Again, when that first thought arises, say the opposite or remove this clutter. How can you have less worries? Here's another way you can have less outside of this exercise. Remove all news. All news. Apps, don't watch the news. Don't look at the news. Stop Googling everything. Don't even click on Google unless it's absolutely important. Do not Google any symptoms, any worries of anything at all. And even get off social media if you can. For a little bit. That alone will clear up half of those thoughts, I promise you, and it will remove so much clutter, and I have done all of them, and I don't even check the news now, so that will remove so much clutter. Now, I'll talk a little bit about this new moon, the other themes, energy themes, and then we will be done with this episode. The energy, again, with this new moon, here's one of the things, like I said before, like we said, no more bullshit, cutting to the chase, simplifying your life, and it will simplify your mind. Clear awareness, desire to stay fixed, okay? Stay fixed in the changes that you're making. So not stay fixed in the changes that you don't need to make, staying fixed in the changes that you just decided you needed to make. Staying like, I am going to stick this path of running every day for the next 6 months. I'm going to stick this path of getting up and meditating, like really being fixed in that mental strength energy. Feeling a great reward from helping another person, just feeling very rewarded, feeling very soul rewarded, and just helping someone. Virgos, they love to help someone more than anyone else. Wanting to embrace flexible thinking, having a new and open-minded perspective that shifts the energy of a life change or energy in a relationship, or just having people reacting around you differently because you took on a new perspective. When we change the way we think or we, go towards the world then changes its response back to us. So remember that. So there could just be this open-minded shift. And because you shifted your thinking about person, place, or thing, that energy naturally has also shifted away. And then next Wednesday, Mars moves into Cancer. I'll save that for next week's episode. You guys know this is my least favorite Mars transit. Definitely not my favorite, but I will give you more info on that next week. Thank you guys. Thank you again for tuning in, rating, reviewing, sharing this with friends, putting on social media. This is beginning out there, and all thanks to you guys. I'm a fully self-supporting podcast. I just love to give all this information to you guys, and in return, if you can just share it, and honestly, just use it for yourself to really gain the self-awareness. That's all I need. I love you all. Have a beautiful and fabulous week.